Underglaze transfer. This works for just line work or if you painted the entire piece of newsprint. First things first, you're going to need a slab for this. It's consistent thickness. I use my slab sticks and a roller. I have my transfer. It's dry. Be careful. If you bend it, all the paint will pop off. I want to get my slab closer to the size of my actual design, and so I just set it down and did a wide trace. Now I do have to flip it over later, so make sure if you have a strange design that you've left enough space for when you actually flip the piece over, or I can flip the clay over. All right, so first thing is I want to make sure that it is ready to receive my transfer. So I did just add a little bit of water and just set it aside, and it wasn't a soaking amount of water. It was a wrung out sponge that I wiped on it. I have a large brush because I'm going to use a glaze to kind of soften up my transfer. And I'm just going to use white. Doesn't really matter what your other colors are. Use the white glaze. Now notice you want a glaze that's not super runny, but mine was a little on the dry side. So I just let myself have a little extra water in my brush. Notice there's no drips. It is a decent consistency that's not dripping. I am doing a nice light layer on this. It is not thick. It's just enough to put a coat over top of my lines, just enough to add a little bit of moisture to start to soften up that glaze. Ultimately, we need it to release from the paper. Now I gotta wait for about 2 minutes. And so while I'm starting to wait that 2 minutes, and I'm actually set a timer I'm watching, I'm gonna clean up. So when you're putting away your glaze, you do need to wipe around the rim. And for once with caps, don't mush them down, kind of travel all around the outside so that it actually seals and that we're not drying out the glaze. I'm gonna go put that away. I don't need it anymore. I'm going to stress these wait times. You need to wait that 2 minutes for that glaze to absorb and soften them up. While I was waiting, I went and grabbed some tools to do some rubbing later. I got the ribs, I washed them so there's no clay on them, and an extra small tool. It is now more flexible because we did add that glaze, and so now I'm going to flip my line work over so that that glaze is now resting onto the slab that I made, that I dampened a little bit earlier. I'm just kind of tapping it down just to make sure it's in place and not going to move. And now on the back side, I'm going to add water, and I had the sponge, I've wrung it out, and I am dabbing it. You're going to see the design start to kind of shine through. So you can see all the black lines now. And again, I am going to wait patiently. I cut out the waiting time, but I waited. And then I'm going to wring out my sponge again and dampen it again. I need that glaze, the black glaze, to really kind of soften up and release from the paper. And I'm going to give it some help. I'm going to take those ribs that I have. They're nice and big, so it's going to apply even pressure throughout my design. Now, I have to speed up this video. You do not want to watch me, but I spent several minutes rubbing, making sure to hit every area that had the black lines to get this transfer to start to transfer. And I can see some areas where like maybe it's doing a little bit of smudging, and so there's nothing I can do about it now, right? But probably I had maybe a little bit too much black on that area, or maybe a little bit too much white glaze. Now I'm going to sit and I'm going to let it sit for like 5 minutes. Okay, so far that's been 9 minutes of wait time, plus the time I've been rubbing, so it's a lot. I'm back to adding some more rubbing. A nice consistent pressure. If you're worried you're not getting to each line, then grab a more specific tool and go over the individual lines. I have, I think, quadrupled the speed of this video. I'm really not going this fast at all. What I am doing is making sure that I go over every single line, and I'm doing it several times. So it's a little bit of pressure. It would cause like a slight indent in the clay for the amount of pressure that I'm putting on. Not crazy indents, but a little bit. And I am just making sure that I've gone over every single area. Probably about 4 minutes of rubbing time that was just happening here with a high speed on my magic of making movies. Okay, so I'm waiting, gonna wait like 5 minutes. I'm like, well, maybe let me just do a little check. No, I really do need to wait that 5 minutes. Just if you pull back a little area and a little bit of it doesn't release, then that means other areas aren't gonna release. So I'm gonna go back and do some more rubbing. And I'm going to go back and do some more dabbing. There's no point to rush this. You rush it and you pull it back and it's smudged or didn't transfer, there's nothing you can do. You cannot go undo it. You got to start from scratch and do a different method. So you noticed I let it sit for 2 minutes and I just waited. And then I came back and I'm going to rub some more. So when you're doing your piece, expect this process to take at least 25-30 minutes, right? If it takes you 10, you're probably not going to get a good transfer. I'm going to wait another 2 minutes just because. Be safe. Here I go. Let me give it a test. Not bad. I feel pretty good, so I'm going to continue to pull it all the way back, and I've got my transfer. The next step is to take your needle tool and trace around the outside edge of your line to cut this out. Give yourself a little space so that you can smooth it out a little bit at the end. Then while you wait like 5 or 6 minutes for this glaze to just get a little bit more dry, if you haven't planned out your design, then go to your sketches and plan out your design. And then you are going to hand paint in the rest of your underglaze colors. Good luck and enjoy the process.